It was one of the lessons I learned that was really touching. You are the only constant thing you have. Hi, I'm Fii, and in this video, I'll be sharing my top 5 lessons from 2020. Thankfully, we're already in 2021, but then I believe, and I'm sure you believe also, that there are things you will learn in the past that will help you to have a very fruitful and effective year in 2021. These are the top 5 things I learned last year that I believe would allow everyone to have a more amazing 2021. The first thing I learned in 2020 is that you do not have to start from scratch. There are several stories, several people sharing their stories around, and there's always that progression of people that were once disadvantaged, and then after doing 1 or 2 things, they came to a place of advantage. And because of that story, people have begun to ignore the things that they have just so that their own story can be a grass to grace story. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to ignore the things you already have so that your story can be a grass to grace story. You can start with the things that you have access to and go ahead and grow them so that even your place of relative advantage can become your starting point. And from there, you can build to even things that are better. Now, my second lesson from 2020 is that you are the only constant thing you have. You know, the pandemic came, there was a lockdown, and several people lost many things. People lost people lost businesses, people lost their jobs, people lost quite a number of things. It was one of the lessons I learned that was really touching. You are the only constant thing you have. So people can leave you, things can leave you, but if you leave you, you are dead. Once you know that, once you have that at the back of your mind, you would invest in yourself. The moment I realized this, I started going very hard investing in myself. Last year, I became a Facebook certified digital marketing associate. I also went ahead to become a Smedan certified business development service provider. I took quite a number of certification courses. I went ahead to invest in myself, invest in my relationships, because I know that I am the only constant thing that I have. Every other thing can change. The third thing I learned from 2020 is that time is part of the process. Time is part of the process. That means you can have everything right, you can have all the ingredients right, but if you don't give it a particular period of time, you can never get the maximum result you're supposed to get from a particular process. So you can start having results, but the maximum results come after a period of time. Knowing that time is part of the process, the most important lesson to get from that is that you need to start early. Because if you start early, you have sufficient time to give to your process. The fourth thing I learned from 2020, which I believe is like the most important, is the fact that life is spiritual. Now, I won't be explaining this so much, but it's something I learned in a very big way in 2020. Life is highly spiritual. The things that you see are highly controlled by the things that you do not see. So you have to make sure that your spiritual life is in check. Very important. Life is highly spiritual. Now, the last thing I learned from 2020 is what I call the deception of activity. The fact that doing so much doesn't mean you're getting so much done. So for deception of activity, the major thing I took away from that is that there has to be a balance between expressing who you are and growing who you are. Expressing who you are is things like speaking, creating content, putting yourself out there. That is you expressing who you already are. But if you do not balance expressing who you are and growing who you are, very soon your expression will become both stale and irrelevant. So you have to create that balance. You have to create a system that allows you both express who you are and also grow who you are. These are the 5 top things I learned from 2020 that I really believe would help every single person in 2021. Go ahead and let me know the lesson that stood out most for you, and also share your top lessons from 2020 in the comment box. Happy New Year to all of you, and I'm glad you are a part of my YouTube channel. This is a very young channel, so please consider liking this video and subscribing. Turn on the notification icon so that you'll be notified every single time I put out a video. Thank you, and see you in the next video.